see them friends with answered prayers, loved ones who found their purpose, strangers online celebrating open doors and visible progress. You scroll past another testimony, another milestone, and though you don't envy them, something tightens in your spirit. What about me, you whisper? The ache of comparison isn't loud, but it's heavy. Not because you resent others' joy, but because you wonder if God forgot your address. Did you mishear his promise? Did your delay mean denial? While others leap forward, you feel frozen in place, wrestling not only with God's silence but with a suspicion that you somehow missed your moment. The night amplifies the ache. As the world rests, your soul replays timelines, regrets, and what-ifs. The pillow holds your questions. The ceiling reflects your searching, and still no answer. Just the sound of your own breath and the sacred stillness that almost feels like abandonment. You want to trust in God. You want to believe Psalm 91, that you are protected from the terror of night. But how do you rest when your spirit feels restless? When the clock keeps ticking and your soul feels stuck in pause? But what if this silence isn't punishment? It's preparation. What if the pause is not a delay, but a divine design? What if God's message tonight is not, you're behind, but you're being held? Psalm 23 doesn't say he drives you forward. It says he makes you lie down, not in punishment, but in green pastures, still waters, sacred stillness. Psalm 91 doesn't promise speed. It promises shelter. And when you dwell in that shelter, even in confusion, you are not lost, you are hidden. The divine pace may offend your plans, but it's healing your soul. Philippians 1:6 reminds us, he who began a good work in you will finish it. He is not late, he is deliberate. What looks like stagnation may be sacred shaping. What feels like failure may be quiet formation. While it seems like nothing is happening, everything necessary is being arranged for your good. The ache of comparison cannot cancel the faithfulness of God. Now inhale, not to fill your lungs, but to stretch your faith. Inhale surrender, exhale striving. Let this be your soul's rhythm. God isn't grading your pace, he's guarding your process. T.D. Jakes once said that delay can be divine insulation, protecting you from premature exposure, preparing you for the weight of what you're meant to carry. You are not overlooked. You are being held back by love, not rejection. Lisa Bevere reminds us that trust isn't forged in the finish line. It's formed in the furnace. That fire you feel, it's not failure, it's refinement. Dr. Anita Phillips teaches that rest is what faith looks like in real life. Trust isn't an emotion, it's a decision. So tonight, decide to trust, not because you see progress, but because you trust the one who sees the whole path. Rest not because you feel ready, but because you believe God is already at work, even in what feels like delay. Let this prayer carry you. God, I release the pressure of progress. I surrender comparison, timelines, and striving. Even when I don't feel movement, I trust you're moving in me. I believe you are not just working for me, but within me. Wrap me in Psalm 91 tonight. Shepherd me gently in the way I should go. Let your pace become my peace. As you rest, speak these questions to your soul. Where have I assumed God's silence means absence? How is he shaping me in ways I haven't seen? What might happen if I trusted his pace over my plan? Declare these truths aloud. He who began a good work in me will carry it to completion. I will not fear the terror of night, for God watches over me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Tonight the world may seem to move without you, but heaven hasn't taken its eyes off you. You are not stuck. You are being still on purpose. You are not left behind. You are being led differently. Speak this softly to your heart as sleep finds you. God says, I'm not behind. I'm becoming. If this night prayer met you in your waiting, share it with someone else who's still believing in silence. And if sleep doesn't come, don't despair. His protection isn't delayed. You are still covered. You sit in the stillness of night, and what once felt like quiet patience now feels like spiritual fatigue. The prayers you've whispered for weeks or years seem to echo back without reply. Others talk of miracles and movement while you feel buried in silence. You wonder, why not me? Why not now? That question, if left unanswered, begins to ache like a bruise in your soul. But tonight, maybe the silence isn't absence, it's presence in disguise. It's presence in disguise. Maybe God isn't ignoring you, maybe He's rooting you. What feels like delay may be divine development. What you call stagnation, heaven calls strengthening. You are not falling behind. You are being grounded in grace. Psalm 91 says, "You dwell in the secret place of the Most High, not the spotlight." And in that secret place, something sacred is happening beneath the surface. The enemy wants to convince you that a lack of movement is a lack of favor. But God says, you're not being overlooked. You're being overbuilt. God's grace never rushes. It doesn't sprint toward surface-level success. It settles. It anchors. It prepares. Roots don't form in haste. They grow slow, deep, and strong. They wind into the unseen places where storms can't reach. You're not stuck. You're being planted. And seeds planted in faith must first grow in silence before they ever break through the soil. Psalm 23 reminds us that still waters restore the soul. Stillness is not punishment. It's preparation. Dr. Anita Phillips teaches that healing rarely moves by clock. It follows a deeper rhythm. Lisa Bevere reminds us that delay is often protection, not punishment. And Pope Leo XVI once said that the soul who waits in trust never waits in vain. This is not wasted time, it's wise timing. You are being rooted with purpose so that you can one day rise with resilience. Tonight, grace is not asking you to hurry, it's asking you to remain. Now inhale slowly, not just to breathe but to believe. Inhale surrender, exhale striving. Let this be your soul's rhythm tonight. Trust is not an emotion, it's a decision. God isn't preparing just the outcome. He's preparing you. Every moment of stillness is forming strength. Every silent night is deepening your foundation. You are not being passed over. You are being prepared beneath the weight of glory. Grace is doing its quiet work. And just because you don't see fruit yet doesn't mean the roots aren't growing. This is the sacred work of becoming, the hidden becoming holy. You are not being punished. You are being formed, and you will not miss what God has for you. When it's time, what has been forming in secret will stand unshaken in the open. Pray this as you rest tonight. God, I surrender my timeline, my pressure, my need to see progress. I release the fear that I've been forgotten. I choose to believe that you are anchoring me with grace. Let my heart trust what your hands are doing beneath the surface. Make me strong in the silence. Let your pace become my peace. Reflect gently in the quiet. What are you learning in the silence that you could never learn in the spotlight? In what ways might God be strengthening you, not delaying you? What if your stillness is the very soil of your calling? Speak these truths aloud as anchors. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall trust. Psalm 91:4. He restores my soul and leads me beside still waters. Psalm 23:2-3. He who began a good work in you will perform it. Philippians 1:6. Now rest, not because you've arrived, but because grace is rooting you for the journey ahead. You're not waiting in vain. You're being readied for divine unveiling. Let peace settle over your soul, not as a result of progress, but as a reflection of trust. Whisper this to your spirit as you drift into sleep. Grace doesn't rush, it roots, it readies, and when the time is holy, it reveals. You are not forgotten, you are not behind, you are becoming. Sleep under that truth. Sleep in the shelter of sacred timing. You've prayed, not once or twice, but over and over, through sobs, through silence, through whispers that only heaven could hear. You've poured your heart into the night, longing for movement, for a reply, for something to shift, but still the answer hasn't come, just stillness. just delay. You lie there wondering, did I ask wrong? Did I miss it? The waiting begins to sound like silence, and the silence begins to feel like abandonment. But here's the truth your soul needs tonight. Unanswered does not mean unheard, and silence is not a signal of divine absence. It's often the forge of divine refinement. God hears every prayer, not just with his ears, but with his heart. And he does not waste a single one. Sometimes, before God answers the prayer, he refines the one who prayed it, not because your request was wrong, but because his wisdom is deeper. Psalm 91 doesn't just describe God as refuge. It reveals him as a protector, even in delay. He's not ignoring you, he's insulating you. What feels like stillness is often a sacred transformation. He's purifying your petitions until they reflect the heart of heaven. He's turning repetition into realignment. Lisa Bevere reminds us that what God delays, he expands. Dr. Anita Phillips teaches that healing is not a rush, but a renovation. And Pope Leo III once said that no prayer sent in trust is ever sent in vain. Your unanswered prayer isn't being ignored. It's being cultivated. It's being shaped to match something bigger than you imagine. This is where trust becomes deeper than desire. This is where waiting becomes worship. Psalm 23 doesn't promise the absence of valleys, but the presence of the shepherd within them. Even in the unanswered, he restores, he comforts, he prepares a table where your fears once sat. The delay isn't empty, it's full of divine detail. You are not abandoned in this process. You are being made ready to hold what you asked for. Sometimes, the waiting changes the weight of your prayer. You stop begging for quick relief and start longing for deeper wisdom. You stop needing control and start resting in surrender. This is what it means to be refined, not punished, but prepared, not delayed, but developed. And when the answer finally comes, it will not just solve something, it will sanctify something. Let this be your nighttime prayer. Lord, I lay down every anxious prayer, every desperate cry. I trust that you have heard me. I believe that what feels like silence is actually your shaping. Refine my desires to reflect your will. Turn my waiting into worship. Let my asking become alignment. And when you answer, may it not only bring joy, but make me ready to receive it in holiness. Pause and reflect. Are there prayers I've held in fear more than in faith? What if the silence is sanctifying me? How might this waiting be reshaping what I truly desire? Now let your soul anchor into these truths. Surely he shall deliver thee, he shall cover thee with his feathers. Psalm 91, 3-4. He restoreth my soul, even though I walk through the valley. Psalm 23-4. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Psalm 27:14. And now as the night deepens and your breathing slows, whisper this softly. Just because I haven't seen the answer doesn't mean God hasn't started the work. You are not praying into emptiness, you are praying into eternity. The shepherd has not left you. The silence is not neglect. It is nurture. Sleep now, not because you have the answer, but because you know the one who does. You are not forgotten. You are being refined. You are being prepared for glory. You don't always say it aloud, but the ache is real. Has God passed me by? Did he see my cry? Did I matter enough for an answer? These aren't questions of rebellion. They rise from a weary heart that's been faithful in waiting, yet still wonders why the breakthrough hasn't come. You see others enter the seasons you've long prayed for. You revisit requests that remain unanswered, and in the stillness of night, when everything else goes quiet, these doubts seem to speak loudest. But let this be the sacred whisper that steadies your soul tonight. You are not forgotten. You are being fortified. God is not absent in your silence. He is present in your preparation. You're not being ignored. You're being deepened. Psalm 91 doesn't promise an escape from the terror of the night. It promises that you won't fear it. Why? Because you're covered, not with noise, but with nearness, not with applause, but with assurance. The silence you feel is not the silence of abandonment. It is the silence of sacred construction. You are being quietly wrapped in grace, shielded from pressures you can't yet carry. Psalm 23 reminds us that even in the valley, He walks with us. He doesn't shout from a distance. He steps in close. Every moment that feels stagnant may actually be strength forming beneath the surface. Pope Leo the Canon said, "Faith that waits is not passive, it is powerful." And Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that God doesn't just heal moments, He heals timelines. That means your past, present, and future are all being held together by divine hands. Lisa Bevere teaches that delay is not denial, it's often deepening. And what feels like a divine pause may be a holy preparation. Fortification doesn't happen under lights, it happens in layers, in hidden places, in silent prayers. You are being built to endure more than what you asked for. You're not behind, you're beneath the care of a wise and waiting God. Even when you can't trace the reason, you can trust the Redeemer. He's not just working for you, He's working in you. And what He's growing can't be rushed. This is not neglect, this is nourishment. You've been chosen not just for breakthrough, but for resilience. Not just for a moment, but for mission. Let this be your bedtime prayer. Father, when I feel forgotten, remind me that I am always in your sight. Fortify my faith when my eyes cannot see. Strengthen my soul in the stillness. Teach me to receive this silence as sacred, not as rejection, but refinement. I believe you're preparing me for something greater than I can see. Reflect now. In what ways has God been silently strengthening you? What if the silence isn't distance but divine closeness? Can you rest in being overprepared rather than overlooked? Let your soul be anchored by truth. Thou shalt not be afraid. His truth shall be thy shield. Psalm 91, 5-6. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Psalm 23, 4-5. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Isaiah 40:31. Now as your body softens into rest and your breath slows, whisper this into the quiet. I am not forgotten. I am being fortified. The waiting may be silent, but it is sacred. You are not idle. You are in incubation. What God is growing in you will not be rushed. Let His grace work deeper than your doubts. Let sleep come not because everything makes sense, but because God still does. You're being built, you're being strengthened, you're being prepared for glory. Let that truth cradle you tonight. You don't carry only your own burdens tonight. You carry the ache of the world. It's in the air, in your chest, in the invisible grief that doesn't always have words. The cries of war-torn lands, the sorrow of the displaced, the tremble in a child's breath as they sleep in fear. You may not know their names, but your spirit hears their pain. Some nights press heavier, not because of what's happening in your life, but because your soul is soft enough to feel what's happening beyond it. And that's not a flaw, that's holy empathy. Love doesn't end at the borders of your personal prayer. It stretches across oceans and cities and ruins. It feels what is broken, even when the brokenness isn't yours. And in that stretch, something sacred happens. Intercession becomes healing, not just for others, but for you. So let your night prayer stretch. Stretch past your ceiling, past your unanswered prayers, past your waiting. Let it become shelter for someone else's storm. For the mother who has no home, for the refugee child who holds a broken toy like it's a lifeline, for the elderly man who lost everything, for the prisoner who still believes redemption is possible. Psalm 91 doesn't end at your doorstep. It's not a private promise, it's a global grace. And Psalm 23 reminds us, the shepherd prepares many tables. He doesn't just walk with you, He walks with us. This is the holy communion of compassion, when we pray not just for ourselves, but for the innocent, the voiceless, the hurting, and grace, when given away, never runs dry, it multiplies. Let this be your prayer tonight. Lord, we lift to you every soul lying down in fear tonight, every child without a bed, every heart without peace. Shelter them under your wings. Whisper hope into places haunted by loss. Hold the ones the world has forgotten. Remind the grieving that they are not alone. We do not pray from pride. We pray from mercy. We do not pray because we know the answers. We pray because we trust your goodness. Let justice roll. Let comfort rise. Let your love wash over the places too broken for words. And now, return gently to your own ache. Yes, the world is bleeding, but so are you. And God is big enough to hold both. His grace is not thin. His mercy is not rationed. The same hand that cradles nations is cradling your heart tonight. You too are seen. You too are carried. Your unanswered prayer is not forgotten in the noise. Your name is not lost in the chaos. You are part of something eternal, something unfolding even now, though you may not see it. Isaiah 40:31 says, "Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength." Not might, not maybe, but shall. This is not passive hope, it's active healing. B.D. Jakes said that sometimes we're not waiting on God, He's waiting on us to release the control, to choose compassion over comparison, to become the kind of soul who can carry the blessing. Pope Leo XVI wrote that a soul at rest with God never fears being overlooked. It knows that even hiddenness is holy. And Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that healing begins not when the pain ends, but when trust begins. Tonight, trust is your healing. Compassion is your miracle. Intercession is your renewal. Pray this as you exhale. Father, while I wait for answers, make me a vessel of mercy. Stretch my soul wider than my needs. Cover the world in your peace, and cover me. Teach me that no cry is too small and no pain too vast for your hands. I trust you with the chaos I see and the confusion I feel. Let your grace be enough tonight for them and for me. Let these questions become quiet companions in the stillness. How might lifting someone else's burden lighten your own? What if compassion is how God strengthens you in the silence? Can you believe that your intercession is part of healing, both theirs and yours? Now speak these truths over your restless heart. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night. His truth shall be thy shield. Psalm 91:5-6. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He restoreth my soul. Psalm 23:2-3. Fear not, for I am with thee. I will strengthen thee. Isaiah 41:10. And now sleep, not in denial of the pain, but in trust that God holds it all. You are not praying into the void. You are not whispering into emptiness. Your cry is part of a holy ripple. It reaches heaven and returns with peace. Let that peace rest on your chest. Let it still your mind. Let it hold your soul. Sleep, beloved. You are not forgotten. You are being folded into a greater mercy. You are part of love's eternal work. Let that be enough tonight. There's a calendar inside your soul, a timeline shaped by birthdays, expectations, and comparisons. You once believed that by this age or that year things would align. Marriage, healing, success, clarity. But now the path looks nothing like what you planned. Milestones faded into question marks. Dreams feel delayed. The ticking clock has become a quiet ache. You wonder if you missed your moment, if you're too late. But tonight, heaven silences that fear with a deeper truth. God's timing doesn't obey human deadlines. His grace is not governed by your calendar. I just would. The one who created time is not confined by it. He is never early, never late, only perfect. Psalm 91 does not call him a scheduler. It calls him a refuge, a fortress, a shelter from storms, including the storm of feeling behind. Psalm 23 reveals a shepherd who leads calmly, kindly, wisely. If it feels slow, it's not failure, it's formation. Divine timing isn't delay, it's design. When the world shouts hurry, heaven whispers heal. Human deadlines create pressure. Divine timing creates depth. You don't need to be fast, you need to be faithful. T.D. Jakes says God's delay is never about distance, it's about display. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that healing isn't rushed, it's layered. And Lisa Bevere teaches that divine timing breaks comparison because it's built on covenant, not competition. Heaven is not holding out, it's holding you together. Grace doesn't run on your clock, it runs on God's care. So tonight, release the calendar you've carried like a weight. What's meant for you will not miss you. If it hasn't arrived, either it's being refined or you are. Either way, it's love at work, not punishment, not neglect, precision. You are not behind, you are being prepared, not for average, but for holy. You are not too late, you are exactly where you need to be. Let this be your bedtime prayer. Lord, I surrender the deadlines I've clung to. I confess that I've measured your goodness by the speed of my success, but tonight I choose peace over panic. I trust that you are working in ways I cannot yet see. Teach me to love the pace of grace. Help me rest in your rhythm and not resist it. Resist us not, and resist us. Lead not. Let these questions become quiet companions in the stillness. Where have you been rushing ahead of God's peace? What would change if you believed that no blessing is ever late in God's hands? Can you begin to see your weight not as a waste, but as a womb for something holy? Now speak these truths over your restless heart. He shall cover thee with his feathers. Thou shalt not be afraid. Psalm 91, 4-5. He leadeth me, he restoreth my soul. Yea, though I walk. Psalm 23, 2-4. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings. Isaiah 40, 31. There's a sharp ache that forms when prayers feel unanswered and progress feels withheld. You tell yourself to stay strong, to keep believing, but the silence stretches and your soul starts to question, did God forget? Did I fall short? The longer the wait, the easier it is to misinterpret delay as dismissal. But tonight, let a deeper truth settle in. This delay is not divine rejection, it is divine preparation. Delay is not the end of your story. It's the shaping of your soul to carry the next chapter with grace. Psalm 91 is not a promise of instant answers. It's a promise of covering in the in-between. It says you are hidden in the shelter of the Most High, not because you're being ignored, but because you're being instructed. That shelter isn't a timeout, it's a training ground. Psalm 23 shows us that before the shepherd leads, he makes us lie down. That word alone teaches us something sacred. Resting in God is not always optional. Sometimes it's commanded. For your survival, your strengthening, and your sanctification. You're not stuck, you're being steadied. Lisa Bevere puts it plainly. God isn't just working on the blessing, he's working on the bearer of the blessing. You. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that the soul is not strengthened by answers, but by anchoring. And Pope Leo XV wrote, "Delay is the chisel of God. With it, he carves out room for the miracle." If you're waiting, it's not because you're disqualified. It's because the blessing has weight, and you're being fitted to carry it. So tonight, when you lie awake wondering why the prayer hasn't been answered, why the door hasn't opened, why the shift hasn't come, remember this: God's silence is not a void, it's a voice saying, be still, be calm, trust me even here. Like the roots of a tree during winter, your unseen growth is the very thing that will sustain you in the harvest. The world may not applaud waiting, but heaven treasures it, because what grows in the delay cannot be uprooted by storms. Pray this gently before sleep. Lord, I surrender my timelines. I release my expectations. Teach me to trust the pause. Let the waiting be holy. Let the delay become depth. Build in me what cannot be built in haste. I believe you are preparing me, not punishing me. I choose to rest in your rhythm tonight. Let these questions become quiet companions in the stillness. Where has God's delay made you stronger, even when it felt like silence? What hidden beauty might He be developing in the parts of your life that feel paused, and you trust that what you don't see yet is still sacredly unfolding? Now speak these truths over your restless heart. He shall deliver thee from the snare, and under His wings shalt thou trust. Psalm 91, 3-4. Thou preparest a table before me. Thou anointest my head with oil. Psalm 23, 5. Being confident of this, he who began a good work will complete it. Philippians 1:6. There's a quiet breaking that happens when hope begins to feel like a burden instead of a blessing. You started with faith. You tried to believe. You said, "This will be the year. This will be the moment." But as time stretched and silence settled, your hopeful heart began to shrink. Now you lie awake not with expectation, but with exhaustion. You wonder if it's safer to stop hoping than to risk the ache of another delay. You think, if I just stop expecting, maybe it won't hurt so much. But tonight, heaven bends low to say, you don't have to force hope. Just hold trust. Trust is the bridge that carries you when hope feels too heavy to walk with. Trust is the hand you hold when your hands are too tired to keep building dreams. Psalm 91 doesn't require your optimism. It offers your refuge. It says you're covered even when you feel exposed. It says you're safe even when you feel shaken. Psalm 23 echoes the same. Even when the path leads through shadows, the shepherd walks beside you. You're not navigating this night alone. And even if you've let go of your expectations, God hasn't let go of you. Dr. Anita Phillips teaches us that deep trust is forged in moments of soul weariness, that it's not weakness to be tired, it's human. And it's often in the unraveling that God begins the deepest rebuilding. Lisa Bevere reminds us that surrender doesn't mean defeat, it means strength by another name. When you let go of control, you gain access to divine peace. Dr. Jake says sometimes you don't need more strength, you just need to fall into the strength that's already holding you. And Pope Leo the Account wrote, "True trust begins when the soul no longer relies on its own faithfulness, but God's." That's the trust that sustains you tonight. So if hope has grown dim, let trust light the way. Trust not because it feels easy, but because it is eternal. Trust that the one who holds the stars hasn't dropped your story. That even now, when prayers feel unanswered and your strength feels undone, He is holding the broken pieces with holy intention. He is not asking you to pretend. He is simply asking you to let Him be enough, especially here. Whisper this as your prayer tonight. God, I admit it. Hope is hard right now. My heart feels tired and my spirit feels slow, but even still, I choose to trust you. Not because I feel it, but because I believe you are good. Be near to my disappointment. Sit with me in the waiting. Carry me through the weariness. And remind me that you never ask me to hope alone. Let these questions become quiet companions in the stillness. Where have I tried to carry hope in my own strength? What would it look like to hand God not just my desires, but my discouragement? Should I believe that trust is sacred, even when it's silent? Now speak these truths over your restless heart. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. Psalm 91:4. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Psalm 23:4. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. Silence can feel like abandonment when your heart is aching for a sign. You've prayed with tears, waited with hope, searched for movement, and still all you hear is quiet. The hours pass, the calendar turns, the ache deepens, and in that sacred stillness, the voice of fear often finds room to speak. Nothing's changing, nothing's coming maybe, nothing's working. But beloved, here's the holy truth that defies your fears. God is still working. He is not just present in answers, He is powerful in the silence. Psalm 91 calls it the secret place of the Most High, a place not of noise but of nearness, not of spectacle but of shelter. You are not on the outside looking in, you are hidden in the center of His will, where the foundation of your future is being formed stone by stone. Psalm 23 reminds us that soul restoration does not happen in chaos. It happens beside still waters, in quiet spaces, in silence that holds instead of hurries. Your life is not stagnant. It's being strengthened. Lisa Beaver says that when God is building something eternal, He starts below the surface, where no one sees. T.D. Jakes reminds us that silence is often the language of intimacy. When the noise fades, it's because the conversation has moved closer. Dr. Anita Phillips explains that deep healing doesn't always feel like fire. It often feels like stillness. And Pope Leo Tolstoy wrote, "Silence is the sanctuary of the soul, where the Holy Spirit speaks in whispers that awaken eternity." You are not stuck in silence, you are being sanctified by it. This is not the end, this is the excavation. This is where roots go deep enough to hold the dream God is still growing. The house doesn't tremble when the foundation is secure, so let Him dig. Let Him clear. Let Him pour every invisible layer of grace into the soil of your spirit. He is not delaying the building, He is ensuring it will never collapse. Pray this gently tonight. God, I surrender the noise I've craved. I surrender the signs I've demanded. Teach me to find You in the quiet. Anchor me in Your presence, not in outcomes. Build in me a faith that doesn't shake when the world is silent. I want to be rooted, not reactive. Let these questions become quiet companions in the stillness. Where have I feared that silence meant rejection? What has God revealed in the quiet that He couldn't have shown in the chaos? And I trust that what is happening inside me now is more eternal than what I want to see happen outside. Now speak these truths over your restless heart. He that dwelleth in the secret place shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Psalm 91:1. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Psalm 23:2-3. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. You've spent so much of your life rushing to catch up, rushing to be ready, rushing to earn what you were never meant to chase. The world praises speed. It celebrates quick results, instant answers, rapid success. But your soul knows better. Deep down, in the quiet places no one else sees, you feel the truth rising like a whisper from heaven. Grace doesn't grow in the rush, it grows in the stillness. The work of God in your life does not bloom through hustle, it blooms through holy pause. And tonight, as your body lays still, but your mind still races, hear this invitation. Slow down, stay present. Let grace do what only it can. Psalm 91 doesn't promise a fast rescue. It promises shelter, a place of protection, not performance, a refuge, not a race. And Psalm 23 is a map for the soul that's been worn thin by urgency. It doesn't say He drives you. It says He leads you beside still waters. Still, not hurried, not chaotic, but calm, restorative, sacred. You weren't meant to sprint through your healing, you're becoming your purpose. You were meant to be rooted in it, and roots require stillness. Stillness is not weakness, it is sacred soil. And grace? It blooms best when nothing else is moving. T.D. Jakes once said that you can't rush the masterpiece of God. It unfolds in layers, not leaps. Lisa Bevere teaches that grace is not a ladder we climb, but a gift we receive. You don't achieve grace. It meets you where you are and expands within you when you stop trying to force progress. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that your nervous system, your emotions, your very biology crave stillness, not inactivity, but sacred regulation. And Pope Leo XXVI wrote that the still soul is the soul most likely to hear God's voice, not because it's louder, but because it's less crowded. And tonight, that's the gift you are invited to receive: holy stillness. So stop chasing what only comes by resting. You don't need to catch up. You need to come close. You're not behind. You're exactly where grace is meeting you. Let the fear of missing your moment dissolve into the truth that your moment is not a moving target. It's a divine appointment, and it cannot be stolen by speed or slowness. It is secured by surrender. Let this be your night prayer. Father, slow me down. Still the panic in my chest. Quiet the lies that tell me I'm behind. Remind me that your grace does not run away when I rest. It finds me. Plant me deep in your peace. Teach me to grow in stillness, not in striving. Let these questions become quiet companions in the stillness. In what ways have you been chasing what only grace can give? What might happen if you allowed stillness to be a form of trust? Can you see the current pause in your life as an act of divine love, not divine delay? Now speak these truths over your restless heart. He shall give his angels charge over thee in all thy ways. Psalm 91:11. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. Psalm 23:2-3. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Psalm 37:7. And finally, whisper this into the silence of the night: grace grows in stillness, and so do I. You don't have to be fast to be faithful. You don't have to be loud to be loved. Tonight you are invited to stop moving and start maturing. Rest isn't a break from growth. It is the birthplace of it. Let the stillness hold you. Let grace surround you, and let your soul sleep. Not because the work is finished, but because God's hands are still holding the pen. His hands pulled Grace from the bed, and she lay down, letting her soul sleep, not because the work is finished, but because God's hands are still holding the pen. You don't need to do more to deserve this moment of rest. The world may measure you by productivity, but God measures you by presence. And tonight, that presence is enough. You've spent the day giving, doing, striving, solving. But now, as your head finds the pillow, God is not looking for one more accomplishment. He's offering something better. Sacred surrender, the kind of rest that doesn't come after you've finished everything, but arrives when you admit you never had to do it all to begin with. This is holy ground. This is trust. This is worship in stillness. Psalm 91 tells you that your safety isn't earned, it's inherited. It belongs to those who dwell in the secret place, not those who race to it. And Psalm 23 shows you that rest isn't just recommended, it's led. The shepherd makes you lie down because he knows that without rest, even the strong grow weak. You were never meant to survive on hustle alone. You were designed to be restored, body, mind, and spirit, in the quietness of grace. Lisa Bevere says that rest silences the lies of performance, that you are not loved for your speed but for your surrender. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that healing begins in regulation, not in relentless effort. T.D. Jakes teaches that even purpose needs pause, that Jesus himself withdrew often not because he was tired of people, but because he was tuned to the rhythm of heaven. And Pope Leo III wrote, "To rest in God is not to escape duty, it is to enter the deeper duty of trust." Tonight you are not escaping. You are entering the sanctuary of stillness. You don't have to finish the day strong. You just have to end it surrendered. Every breath you take in rest is an act of worship. Every release of tension is a declaration of trust. And every quiet moment is a space where heaven gently meets earth in you. Rest is not weak. Rest is holy. Rest is what reminds your heart that you're not holding the universe together. God is. Let this be your bedtime prayer. God, I release the need to prove, to perform, to perfect. I receive your rest as a gift, not a reward. Tonight, I stop carrying what was never mine to hold. I lay down not because I've done it all, but because you've done enough for both of us. Teach me to worship you in stillness. Let rest become my act of faith. Let these questions become quiet companions in the stillness. Where have I believed that I have to earn the right to rest, but might change if I viewed rest as obedience, not indulgence? Can I trust that even in stillness, God is moving on my behalf? Now speak these truths over your restless heart. He shall cover thee with his feathers. His truth shall be thy shield. Psalm 91 verse 4. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. Psalm 23 2. Come unto me, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11 verse 28. And as sleep gently finds you, let this final truth rise within. Rest is not quitting, it's trusting. You are not less valuable in the quiet. You are becoming whole. Let every breath say what your heart is learning. I don't have to strive. I don't have to prove. I only need to receive. Sleep now, wrapped in grace. You are fully loved. You are fully held. You are free to rest. You haven't missed your moment. That fear may whisper loud in the stillness, but it is not truth. What you think slipped away is still in God's hands. And so are you. Maybe you hesitated. Maybe the timing didn't feel right. Maybe grief or fear or confusion held you back. And now, in the quiet of night, regret tries to convince you that your opportunity is gone. But listen deeper. God does not schedule your purpose based on your perfection. God does not preemptively consider failure. God does not schedule your purpose based on your perfection. God does not disappoint your purpose based on your perfection. He unfolds it through mercy, not mistake. Psalm 91 says you are under the shadow of the Almighty, not the shadow of shame, not the shadow of failure. And Psalm 23 reminds you that your shepherd restores. He does not discard what's delayed. He does not abandon what takes the long way. He leads you forward and back, reclaiming what you thought was ruined, redeeming what you thought was wasted. The steps you wish you could redo, is already writing redemption through them. D.D. Jakes says God factored in your hesitation before he ever called your name. Lisa Bevere teaches that destiny isn't delicate, it's durable. And Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that healing detours don't disqualify, they deepen. Pope Leo Kechkova once wrote, "The soul that trusts divine timing shall not be late, even by a breath. Heaven hasn't moved on without you. The moment you thought you missed is still becoming what it was meant to be, with you in mind." So breathe tonight. Release the tight grip of regret. The timing you mourn may have been mercy. The detour you dread may have protected you, and the silence you feared might be sacred preparation. You haven't been disqualified, you've been developed. What's meant for you didn't vanish, it's being refined, and when it arrives, you'll walk into it stronger, wiser, steadier. You didn't miss it, you're maturing for it. Let this be your night prayer. God, I let go of timelines I can't control. I release the fear that I'm too late. I trust that what you have for me cannot be stolen by delay. Restore my hope, realign my heart, and ready me for everything you've still written with my name on it. Let these questions become quiet companions in the stillness. What moment do I fear I missed? And can I give that fear to God? How has God already restored something I thought was gone? Can I trust that I am right on time in heaven's rhythm? Now speak these truths over your restless heart. There shall no evil befall thee, for he shall give his angels charge over thee. Psalm 91, 10, 11. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness. Psalm 23, 3. All things work together for good to them who are called. Romans 8, 28. And as your body softens into rest, whisper this truth over your soul. I haven't missed my moment. I'm being prepared for it. Grace is never rushed, destiny is never late, and the shepherd never leaves one of his own behind. Sleep now in the safety of divine timing. It hasn't passed you by. It's just waiting for you to be fully ready. When the future is quiet, it can feel like an unanswered question. No new doors, no fresh signs, no sudden clarity. Just silence that settles over your days and nights like fog. You begin to wonder, did I miss something? Did God stop speaking? Am I standing still while the world moves on? But beloved, quiet does not mean you're forgotten. The silence is not empty, it is sacred. It is space being carved out for something deeper, something divine. Psalm 91 reminds you that even in the shadows you are covered. You are not exposed to chaos, you are enclosed in care. It says His truth will be your shield, even when you can't see the next step. Psalm 23 doesn't promise that the shepherd always speaks, it promises that He is with you. Through valleys, through stillness, through every unclear tomorrow, His presence remains constant. He does not disappear when the way is unclear. He draws closer. His quiet is not absence, it is trust. Dr. Anita Phillips says that our discomfort with silence often reveals our discomfort with surrender. Lisa Bevere teaches that God often speaks loudest when we stop demanding answers. T.D. Jakes reminds us that if we had all the details, there would be no room for faith. And Pope Leo IV wrote, "The soul that walks by faith walks not by signs but by trust." God doesn't need to make noise to be near. He leads sometimes with direction and sometimes with stillness that invites you to follow anyway. So tonight, rest from the pressure to hear something new. Let go of the need to see the whole picture. Trust that silence does not mean delay. It means God is working in ways beyond your senses. Your roots are growing in the dark. Your spirit is deepening in the quiet. This is not stagnation, it is spiritual stillness, the kind that precedes divine movement. Let this be your bedtime prayer. Father, I surrender the silence. I release the fear that you've gone quiet because I've failed. I receive this stillness as sacred. Grow my faith, not through noise, but through nearness. Teach me to trust what you've already spoken, and to walk forward even when I cannot yet see. Let these questions become quiet companions in the stillness. Have I mistaken God's silence for His absence? What might He be building in me through this quiet season? Can I learn to walk by trust instead of needing constant confirmation? Now speak these truths over your restless heart. He shall cover thee with His feathers. His truth shall be thy shield. Psalm 91:4. Yea, though I walk through the valley, Thou art with me. Psalm 23:4. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. I will uphold thee. Isaiah 41:10. And as your body softens and your soul exhales, whisper this truth to your heart. Even when the future is quiet, God is not distant. His silence is not a void. It's a veil, behind which something sacred is forming. Rest tonight knowing He is still here. He is still writing, and the quiet is not a punishment, it's preparation. Some nights are longer than others, not just in hours, but in emotion. You lie still, but your mind replays every disappointment, every unanswered prayer, every almost that slipped away. And in that replay, you start to believe the lie that the dark places mean God has stepped back, that maybe His grace was only for your brightest days, your most faithful moments, your loudest worship. But tonight, heaven speaks a better truth. God's grace doesn't expire in the dark. It expands, it surrounds, it covers, even here, even now, even when you don't feel it. Psalm 91 doesn't say, the terror won't come. It says, you will not fear it, because God's covering is already over you. His feathers are not seasonal. His shelter doesn't depend on your spiritual strength, it depends on His covenant love. Psalm 23 doesn't only speak of green pastures, it walks us into valleys, dark ones. And what happens there? Thou art with me, not watching from afar, not timing your rescue to test your faith. With you, His rod and staff are not just tools of guidance. They're reminders that even in the night, you are never abandoned. Jakes teaches that grace shines brightest where human strength fades. It's not given for the polished, it's given for the breaking. And Lisa Bevere reminds us that even the shadows require light to exist. So if you're walking through one, God's presence is still near. Dr. Anita Phillips says the soul processes healing in intervals, not all at once. And in those in-between moments, those dark intervals where clarity has yet to come, God is doing some of his deepest repair. Pope Leo Caterino wrote that God's silence is not distance, but depth. And in the quiet dark, his grace is thickest. So if tonight feels darker than most, emotionally, spiritually, or circumstantially, do not interpret that as absence. Interpret it as an invitation. God is not waiting to meet you on the other side of the valley. He is walking with you through it. His grace doesn't waver when yours does. It doesn't flicker when your hope dims. It holds. It anchors. It sings lullabies over fear. You are not alone in this moment. You are not unseen. You are not uncovered. Heaven knows exactly how to minister to you in the middle of what feels unmendable. Let this be your bedtime prayer. Lord, I feel the weight of darkness tonight, but I will not fear it, because you are my light, even when my eyes can't find it. Cover me with your mercy. Whisper your truth louder than my fear. Wrap my soul in grace that does not give up on me in the shadows. Let these questions become quiet companions in the stillness. Where have you believed that God's grace only belongs to your victories, not your valleys? What signs of grace can you trace back to your darkest moments, where He clearly carried you? Can you begin to rest not in your ability to find light, but in the truth that grace is already surrounding you? Now speak these truths over your restless heart. He shall cover thee with his feathers. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night. Psalm 91, 4, 5. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Psalm 23, 4. All things work together for good to them who are the called, according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. And as you settle in to sleep, let this gentle truth carry you. Grace doesn't just visit your light, it dwells in your darkness. It is not thin, it is not conditional, it is covenant. And tonight, while the world sleeps and your thoughts still swirl, grace has already claimed this moment. You are covered, not because of what you feel, but because of who He is. Breathe now, release the fear. You are in the arms of one who does not retreat in darkness. He reigns over it, and in His shadow you will rest. Tonight, your soul is tired, not just from the day, but from the season. You've waited long, hoped hard, prayed deep, and still the change hasn't come. You wonder why God has delayed, why the promises feel paused, why others seem to pass you, while you remain planted in stillness. It's more than disappointment, it's disorientation. But hear this gentle, holy reminder as night falls. God is not late. He is intentional. Spiritual delay is not divine disinterest. It is often God's way of preparing the path and your heart to meet in fullness at the appointed time. Psalm 91 doesn't deny that danger and delay exist. It promises you will not fear them, because the God who watches over your night watches over your wait. His wings don't falter when answers delay. His refuge doesn't expire when miracles are slow. Psalm 23 confirms this rhythm. He leads, not rushes. He makes you lie down before you walk through valleys. He anoints you before He elevates you. The delay may be frustrating, but it is sacred. It is grace in disguise. For what God builds slowly, He establishes deeply. V. Jakes says that when God delays, He's not withholding, He's arranging, aligning your character with your calling. Lisa Bevere teaches that waiting strengthens spiritual muscle we didn't know we needed. And Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that healing takes time, not because God is weak, but because your heart deserves gentleness. Pope Leo XIV wrote that the soul must be taught to trust when the timeline is unclear, that trust is worship. And in this delay, heaven receives your quiet surrender as a song of faith. So tonight, let this be your posture, not panic, but peace. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. You're not stuck. You're being shaped. Delay doesn't mean God forgot. It means He's forming something better than what you asked for. You don't need to make something happen in this stillness. You only need to remain held. Let this be your bedtime prayer. God, I feel the ache of waiting, but I surrender the urge to rush. I lay down my deadlines and receive your timing as perfect. Even when I don't understand the delay, I choose peace. Even when I don't see progress, I choose trust. Wrap me in the stillness of your grace tonight. Let these questions become quiet companions. In the stillness, where have you confused delay with rejection from God? What is God teaching you in the space between your prayer and the promise? Can you let go of striving and choose sacred peace, even before the answer comes? Now speak these truths over your restless heart. He shall deliver thee, He shall cover thee, thou shalt not be afraid. Psalm 91, 3-5. He restoreth my soul, He leadeth me. Thou preparest a table before me. Psalm 23, 3-5. Wait on the Lord, and He shall strengthen thine heart. Psalm 27, 14. Now, breathe in this final truth for the night. Peace doesn't arrive after the answer. It begins now, in the delay. The promise is not postponed, it is protected. Your spirit can rest, not because the delay is over, but because God is still in control within it. And if you can find peace here, you'll carry it into every season to come. Sleep now, beloved, not with fear, but with faith, not with striving, but with stillness. You are not forgotten, you are in progress, and that is holy. Tonight, your soul may wonder if God's mercy missed its moment. You've prayed, you've fasted, you've waited, but the door hasn't opened. The breakthrough hasn't come, and hope deferred begins to whisper, maybe He's forgotten me. But heaven gently answers. God's mercy is not delayed, it's deliberate. It doesn't rush by earthly clocks. It doesn't expire when faith grows faint. Mercy comes not when you expect it, but when your soul needs it most. Psalm 91 promises not timing, but trust. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will trust. While you worry about the when, God is already securing the what. His mercy isn't bound to milestones or moments, it's a constant presence. And Psalm 23 affirms that goodness and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life, even on the days when you feel behind, even in the nights when you feel forgotten. Mercy doesn't knock, it follows, quietly, faithfully, relentlessly. T.D. Jakes reminds us that mercy shines brightest in our mess. It arrives in the breaking, not just the breakthrough. Dr. Anita Phillips says mercy acts like a nervous system for the soul. It holds, protects, and gently restores what has been wounded. Lisa Bevere teaches that much of our strength is mercy in disguise, holding us together when we didn't know how close we were to falling apart. And Pope Leo XII wrote, "The mercy of God does not move at the speed of desperation. It moves at the pace of transformation. You are not forgotten. You are being formed." So tonight, don't measure God's mercy by your outcomes. Measure it by the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still loved. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. The stream of mercy never ran dry. It's flowing toward you, around you, through you. It does not demand your perfection. It invites your surrender. And in the silence of this night, mercy is still on schedule. Let this be your bedtime prayer. Father, I've worried that I missed your mercy. I've doubted your timing and feared I've been forgotten. But tonight I release those fears. I receive the truth that your mercy is never late. It's alive, it's moving, it's mine. Cover me now, not because I deserve it, but because you are good. Let these questions become quiet companions in the stillness. Life, where have you begun to believe that God's mercy passed you by? How has mercy carried you through moments you never even acknowledged? What would it feel like to rest tonight, knowing you can't outrun what's already following you? Now speak these truths over your restless heart. He shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. Psalm 91:11. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Psalm 23:6. It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed. They are new every morning. Lamentations 3:22-23. And as your eyes close and your heart slows, hold this final truth gently. Mercy is not missing. It's moving. It's not late. It's not lost. It's already here. It has always been. And tonight it wraps you in divine tenderness. You are not off schedule. You are not alone. You are being held by mercy, and in that mercy you are safe. Tonight, you stand in the space between what was and what will be, a season of stillness. Not silence from punishment, but quiet from preparation. You've prayed, released, obeyed, and yet the answers remain unspoken. No doors have opened, no signs have appeared, and slowly, the stillness starts to sound like finality. Maybe this is where it ends. But that's not truth. It's fear dressed as finality. Because in God's story, stillness is not the last page. It's the pause before the turning, the sacred hush before the shift. Psalm 91 invites you not into panic, but into protection. It says you dwell in the secret place of the Most High, under the shadow of the Almighty. That's not the shadow of confusion. It's the covering of mercy. You are not forgotten in the stillness. You are hidden in divine care. Psalm 23 teaches us this rhythm of stillness before motion. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still water. Why? Because restoration requires stillness. Because overflow only flows from rooted places. You're not stuck. You're being established. Dr. Anita Phillips says the nervous system only heals in rest, not in reaction. Your soul is no different. Lisa Bevere reminds us that stillness restores what hustle hijacks, your peace, clarity, and divine alignment. T.D. Jakes teaches that no great move of God begins with chaos, it begins with calibration. And Pope Leo the Captive wrote, "The still soul is most ready to hear the whisper of heaven, so if you hear nothing now, trust that something deeper is being said. Beneath the noise, beneath your striving, beneath what you can see." So tonight, bless the stillness. Don't fear it. Don't rush it. Let it hold you. Let it strengthen what ambition never could. Your trust, your patience, your faith, without evidence. This isn't delay. This is depth. This isn't the end. It's the sacred middle, the place where heaven's quiet hand writes the next line of your story. And when the movement comes, it will come from stillness, not struggle. Let this be your bedtime prayer. Father, when the way is unclear and the night is silent, help me trust that you are not absent. You are anchoring me. Quiet my fears, calm my soul. I surrender the need to move. I receive your presence right here in the stillness. Let these questions become quiet companions. In the stillness, have I mistaken stillness for abandonment? What unseen work might God be doing within me while nothing seems to move outside me? I believe that being held is more important than being hurried. Now speak these truths over your weary soul. He shall cover thee with his feathers. Thou shalt not be afraid. Psalm 91:4-5. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. Psalm 23:2-3. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. And now, as you surrender the noise, the fear, and the pressure to perform, speak this over your final thoughts. Stillness is not the end. It is the sacred middle, the sacred breath between pages, the space where trust deepens and faith anchors. The shift is not late, it's being prepared. So rest not in knowing, but in being known. Let go. You are not stuck. You are safe. The shepherd is near, and the story is still unfolding. Tonight, the pressure of waiting may feel heavier than usual. Not just the pressure to stay hopeful, but the hidden pressure to hold everything together while your heart quietly wonders, will God really come through for me? You don't say it out loud, but the silence makes space for doubts to whisper. You've trusted, you've waited, but now it feels personal, like maybe the promise passed you by. But heaven answers in love tonight. My timing will not fail you. My delay is not disinterest. My silence is not absence. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. Psalm 91 assures you that divine covering is not conditional on schedules. It's based on your position. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. That means while you wrestle with the when, God is perfecting the why. Psalm 23 reminds you that your table is being prepared in the presence of your enemies. Not rushed, not random, but right on time. Your portion won't be missing when you arrive. It will be full, overflowing, and undeniably yours. Dr. Anita Phillips says our greatest anxiety often comes not from doubt in God's ability, but in His pacing. We crave immediacy, but God works in intervals of intimacy. Lisa Bevere teaches that timing guards the purity of a promise. It's both protection and preparation. T.D. Jakes reminds us that delay is the tool God uses to deepen, not deny. And Pope Leo Cavary wrote that the mature soul learns to trust the clock of heaven more than the calendar of earth. Your waiting is not wasted. It is weight-bearing. It is capacity-building. It is becoming testimony. So tonight, release the timeline. Release the deadlines you gave God that He never signed. You are not late. You are not behind. You are being aligned. Heaven is still writing, and your chapter hasn't been skipped. It's being set apart for something weightier than what you would have rushed. Let this be your night prayer. Father, I surrender the pressure to produce. I lay down the lie that you're late. I choose to believe that your timing is still perfect, even when it stretches mine. Strengthen me to wait with faith. Teach me to rest in your pace. Let these questions bring clarity to the waiting. What expectations have you placed on God's timing that are rooted in fear, not faith? How has God proven trustworthy after the wait? What if this delay is shaping you into someone who can carry more than you asked for? Now declare these truths over your timeline. He shall cover thee. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night. Psalm 91, 4-5. Thou preparest a table before me. My cup runneth over. Psalm 23, 5. The Lord is not slack concerning His promise, but is long-suffering. 2 Peter 3, 9. And as sleep wraps around your body, let this be the final truth you carry. His timing will not fail me. I am not missing out. I am being made ready. Heaven isn't behind. It's building something worth waiting for. You are not forgotten. You are remembered by name. And when the moment comes, it will be more than you imagined, because it came from more than you could see. Rest now, not in your ability to wait perfectly, but in God's perfect patience with you. There's something sacred hidden inside a prolonged wait, though at first glance all you feel is the ache. Waiting can feel like standing still in a world that's sprinting past, like planting prayers in barren soil, like offering hope into silence and watching the calendar bleed unanswered days. But here's the quiet truth. Heaven presses gently on your soul tonight. You're not just waiting, you're weaving, and what's being woven isn't just an answer, it's a glory that will far outweigh the pain of this pause. Psalm 91 wraps you in assurance. He shall deliver thee, he shall cover thee, and under his wings shalt thou trust. These words are not the echo of delay, but the soundtrack of construction. You are not in limbo, you are in the hands of a careful weaver. Psalm 23 says, Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. It doesn't promise instant outcomes, but when it comes, it will not be rushed or shallow. It will overflow because it was poured in secret and sealed by time. Dr. Anita Phillips teaches that some glories can only be born through long obedience. Obedience that deepens roots and purifies desire. Lisa Bevere reminds us that godly maturity has no shortcuts. It is slowly knit, not quickly cast. T.D. Jakes often says, "The glory is in the pressing," and Pope Leo III once wrote, "The soul waiting for answers may instead be becoming the answer itself." You are not overlooked in this tension. You are being shaped by it slowly, deeply, divinely. So tonight, don't curse the delay, honor it, bless it. Let it build you. Every quiet hour is a thread, every ache is a color. Every not yet is sacred pattern, and when the glory arrives, it won't just shift your situation. It will mirror the mystery of what was formed in the waiting. You will not emerge fragile. You will rise radiant. Let this be your bedtime prayer. Father, I thank you for what you are weaving in the wait. I confess I've longed for speed, but tonight I choose surrender. Make beauty from these slow burning prayers. Let your glory shine through the silence. And when the answer comes, may it carry the weight of your goodness, not just my endurance. Let your soul linger in reflection. Have you measured the weight only by what you've lacked, not what God is building? What strength, wisdom, or peace has quietly grown in this silence? Can you believe that glory is not just coming after the wait, but being formed within it? Anchor your soul in these promises. He shall deliver thee, and under his wings shalt thou trust. Psalm 91, verse 3-4. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Psalm 23, 5. For our light affliction worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. 3 Corinthians 4:17. And now, as your body begins to rest, let this be the final whisper over your spirit. The weight is weaving something glorious. God is not wasting these nights. He is threading your sighs, your surrender, your slow-burning faith into a glory you haven't imagined yet. Sleep not in dread of more delay, but in reverence for the glory being prepared behind the veil. His timing is perfect, his presence is sure, and you, beloved, are still on holy ground. There's a strange heaviness that descends near the end of a long wait. It gets harder, not easier. You'd expect the nearness of breakthrough to lighten the load, but instead, the final stretch often feels like the heaviest. It's where the temptation to let go gets louder, where hope feels paper thin, where silence feels almost cruel. You've held on for so long, but deep down you may wonder, am I any closer? Or have I spent all this strength clinging to nothing? But tonight, heaven leans in with this quiet truth. You're closer than you think. The door may not have opened yet, but that doesn't mean you're far. Sometimes the enemy fights hardest when your miracle is minutes away. Psalm 91 doesn't promise visible proof. It promises divine intervention. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. That's not a question of if, but a promise of when. Psalm 23 assures us that God is leading us to a prepared place, one with oil, overflow, and rest. The path may feel winding, but it is never without purpose. Even when you feel lost in the stillness, God is drawing you closer, closer to breakthrough, closer to healing, closer to the moment when everything hidden becomes holy and everything delayed becomes divine timing. B. Jakes teaches that most people give up the night before everything changes, not because they're weak, but because they didn't realize how close they were. Lisa Bevere says, the enemy can't take your promise, so he'll try to take your patience. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that exhaustion is not failure, it's evidence that you've stayed faithful through pain. And Pope Leo IV wrote that the soul closest to glory often feels the most stretched. That ache you feel right now, it may not be distance, it may be proximity. So tonight, don't misread your fatigue. It's not a sign you're too late. It's the tension of transition. The tide hasn't forgotten you, it's been gathering. Your tears have not been wasted. Your obedience has not been overlooked. You've walked this journey longer than you ever thought you could, and that means you are braver than you knew. Don't quit now. Not when you're this close, not when heaven is this near. Let this be your night prayer. Father, I'm tired, but I trust you. Even when I can't see how near I am, I believe you do. Strengthen me for the final stretch. Whisper truth to my weary heart. Let me rest tonight in the peace of your presence, and wake tomorrow with faith that knows you are near. Let these questions guide your stillness. What if your weariness is not a sign of failure, but evidence that you're on the brink of fulfillment? And can you hold hope even without proof, knowing God's presence doesn't always come with signs? How would your heart change if you believed? I'm almost there. Speak these scriptures over your soul. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. With long life will I satisfy him. Psalm 91:16. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalm 23:6. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall run and not be weary. Isaiah 40:31. And now, as your body surrenders to sleep, let this be your final breath of trust. I'm closer than I think, and God is closer than I feel. This moment is not the end. It's the threshold. Sleep not in doubt, but in sacred determination. The same grace that carried you here will carry you through. And tomorrow, it just might be the day everything changes, because the promise is alive, and so are you. You made it through the night, not with ease, not with rest, but with presence. Maybe your body tossed and your mind spun. Maybe sleep never came, but even so, you were never left uncovered, and that changes everything. The enemy may have tried to tell you that your exhaustion was evidence of distance from God, that your racing thoughts and restless body meant he had stepped away. But as morning light breaks gently across your room, another truth rises, just as real. You didn't sleep, but you were still covered by mercy, covered by a love that holds through the darkest hours, covered by promises that don't expire when rest escapes you. Psalm 91 didn't pause when your eyes stayed open. It stood guard. It wrapped around you like invisible armor, shielding you when your strength slipped away. Pope Leo the Corpse wrote that God's protection is not dependent on our awareness. It is unceasing even when we forget to ask for it. You may have felt abandoned, but heaven didn't move. While your chest rose with anxious breath, angels stood watch. While your heart whispered questions, God whispered peace. Psalm 23 reminds us that the shepherd never slumbers. He prepares tables in enemy territory. He anoints heads even when our thoughts wander. He restores souls even when sleep does not. Dr. Anita Phillips teaches that healing can still happen when sleep does not. Sleep is a gift, but presence is the greater promise. Lisa Bevere reminds us that the fiercest battles are often fought in silence, and those hours, though dark, are never uncovered. T.D. Jakes has said that grace doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It moves in chaos. It covers in weakness. And this morning, you're not just tired, you are evidence that even sleepless nights can be sacred. You may not have received rest, but you received presence. And that is enough to carry you forward. So as this day begins, hear this clearly. You are not behind just because you are tired. God does not measure your worth by your energy. He measures it by your identity. You are His, fully, even weary, even uncertain, even frayed around the edges. And today you move, not with full strength, but with full coverage. Let this be your prayer as your feet touch the floor. Lord, thank you for covering me, even when I didn't feel it. Thank you for showing me that your presence doesn't leave in the dark. I step into this day with tired eyes, but with a soul held steady. Let your grace be my fuel. Let your love set my pace. but these questions guide your morning. What assumptions about God's presence have been undone by your sleeplessness? Can you believe He was just as near in your restlessness as in your calm? How might your day change if you carried this truth? I didn't sleep, but I was still held. Declare these truths over your weary but worthy soul. He shall cover thee with His feathers. His truth shall be thy shield. Psalm 91:4. Thou preparest a table before me. My cup runneth over. Psalm 23:5. My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. Now step into the day, not ashamed of your fatigue, but emboldened by grace. You are rising, not because of your own might, but because He never stopped holding you. What sleep could not restore, His love will redeem. You are still covered, you are still chosen, and this story, your story, is still unfolding. One promise at a time,